At the beginning of the our post it reads, in 1909 we lost everything. My father caught on. First to the Bilderbergs. Then he caught on the NASA. He demanded to know who the Greys were and why they were here. They killed him. What happened in 1909? Listen to Phil Schneider.
All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since. And it's up down by the Truth or Consequences area of New Mexico.
Technology. Once again, where did we get this new technology? Well, obviously we've had a little hand in that. Our little alien so-called buddies, have kind of exchanged things, not without a great cost. The cost of which has been a lot of people have disappeared. Some, and I'll blow this statistic by you, there's, according to current FBI and Defense Intelligence Agency and CIA statistics, 100,000 children and 1 million adults disappear every year, and these are not kidnappings or murders or rapes or suicides or anything, totally unaccounted for. And where are these people going to? Nobody knows. Maybe one of us in this room or somebody has encountered on such an individual and lost a loved one or a friend or something, and that's unfortunate. Some of them have a difficulty in understanding our language. It's too slow to them. If you've heard whale songs or bird chirpings at high speed, it's about what these aliens sound like audibly to us, so it's a bunch of gibberish. Yes, they've slowly actually broken down. There's 11 prototypes or 11 civilizations of aliens visiting this planet all the time, all of which are known by the U.S. military, 9 of which are not very good indeed. They're pretty bad news. 2 of which are benevolent, but the benevolent ones have supposedly left. They have their own little war of sorts, especially the Pleiadian groups and whatnot like that, of which Val Thor was repudiated to be a Venusian, but other people will alert he looks more like a Pleiadian. He looks normal human, except he's got 6 fingers and toes. He's got one oversized lung. He's got 2 hearts. He's got all kinds of weird stuff. Bones are bigger. Yep. The man asked, do I tie in the alien agenda to the New World Order? Yes, sir, 100%. I can elaborate briefly. The New World Order right now basically is dismantling countries, governments, telling governments not to war with each other anymore, basically, so that looks good on the outside. They're taking their orders directly from the aliens who've got their own timetable. They want the one world order because they want the planet for themselves. Of course, you've often heard of the term Global 2000, and that's a supposed sinister plot, or has been a group of sinister plots to produce biological weaponry to reduce or thin out the so-called ethnic cleanse the population of the planet by 5/6, or roughly 5 of 6 billion people, enslaving the rest to work willy-nilly with the so-called people of the New World Order. Now, another peculiar thing is the alien agenda is not really well believed nor understood. by a lot of these one-worlders. They don't believe it. They think they've been singled out for their own end of glory, and what they don't know is they're just another human being, and according to the negative or bad aliens, they're just another we're considered bags of food to them. They don't eat us like we think of a cannibal eating a hunk of meat, but they use our glandular secretions as part of their food base, our blood and our glandular secretions like adrenochrome and other kinds of things like this. And in fact, the Atlanta Center for Disease Control has figured out ways that we can combat this and all this kind of thing like that. It might be where these new designer diseases like AIDS and Ebola and hantavirus and all these kinds of things have come up out of nowhere, and these diseases, end quote, almost have a mind of their own.
It actually started much longer in my past than that. I was reared in a military family. My father's an Air Force colonel. He's retired now. He was a command pilot. And as a child, I remember sitting around I remember the pilots at our house sitting around the kitchen table talking about their exploits in the cockpit and what they had seen in the skies. And some of that talk involved UFOs and what some of them called Foo Fighters. And I traveled all over the world, lived on military bases for most of my life. I was really an indoctrinated individual, you might say. I was as establishment as you could get, as gung-ho, pro-government, pro-America, pro-military. And that's why I went into the military, because that had been so much of my life. I went into the Air Force. I was in the Strategic Air Command for 4 years. As an aircraft and missile hydraulic technician, which is, I worked on the pneumatic and hydraulic systems of B-52 bombers, KC-135 aircraft, and Minuteman missiles. I had a secret security clearance. That's where I saw my first atomic bomb. I mean, we worked around in these planes, especially the ones on the alert pad, were always loaded, ready to go drop these bombs at a moment's notice. But while I was in the Air Force, I met sergeants, men who were older than me and had been in the Air Force for quite a while, told me that they had participated in projects that had recovered crashed extraterrestrial craft, what you call UFOs. And they never told these stories unless they had quite a bit to drink. So I never really believed it. I thought, well, these guys are running a scam on me, you know, even though I'd heard about these things when I was a kid. I just still didn't believe in them. They're just so far out in left field, it's not something that you really give any serious thought to until something personal happens, which came later. When I left the Air Force, I went into the Navy, which is really where I wanted to be in the first place. I'd always had this tremendous feeling and connection with the ocean. I was an excellent swimmer, but I had a problem as a child. I had chronic motion sickness. If I got in a car and we went on a long trip, I got deathly ill, and same with boats or anything. I couldn't ride on the things at the carnival that went around and round because it just made me tremendously ill. But I decided after I had gone through the Air Force experience that sick or not, you know, I was going to go in the Navy because that's really what I had wanted to do. So I did. Volunteered for submarine duty and was assigned to the USS Tyru SS-416, which was a diesel-electric boat, World War II type, that had been reconfigured. When I went on board the boat, it was in the dry dock at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard and had literally been cut in half. They put in a 12-foot sonar section and then 3 domes on the deck for triangulating targets using sonar. And this was really one of the most up-to-date electronically submarines that we had. Wasn't a nuclear submarine, but as far as the ability to approach, get close to a target and destroy it, it had a better capacity to do that than any other boat that we had. While we were on a transit from the Portland-Seattle area on the surface, I actually saw, I was the port lookout, and I saw the most incredible thing that I think I've ever seen in my life. And it had such a profound effect upon my view of the universe and the world that we live in, that I wish everybody could experience this. I saw come up out of the ocean, from beneath the surface of the sea, a huge disc-shaped craft about the size of a midway-class aircraft carrier, which is tremendous in size. Even though that's one of our smallest carriers, there was then, it's still a huge, tremendously big object. Came up out of the ocean and rose into the air and tumbled on its axis and went up into the clouds, and I was awestruck, dumbstruck. And I mean dumbstruck, literally. I could not utter a sound. And my first impulse was to tell the officer of the deck that I'd seen a flying saucer, and then luckily for me I couldn't talk, because on second thought that's not what I really wanted to say, because I didn't want to be the only Looney Tunes character on a submarine with a tight-knit crew that you had to live in close quarters with, because that's a hell of a way to live. So I told the officer of the deck that I'd seen something about 15 degrees off the port bow at a relative distance of about 2.5 nautical miles. And he began to look in that area. And the starboard lookout had heard me tell him this, and he began to look over there. And while we were all three watching, either the same craft or another one exactly like it came down out of the clouds, tumbled again on its, why it did this maneuver, I don't know, but every single time it did it. It's like it came down in this attitude, and then it flipped over and then entered the water. And the water just appeared to open up in front of it. It's just like the account in the Bible about the parting of the Red Sea. That's exactly what happened. The sea actually parted, and this thing went into the water and it closed up behind it. And this big spray went up into the air. But it wasn't a spray from the craft hitting the water. It was a spray from the water coming back in to fill up this hole that had been created. And again, you know, I'm thinking, this is incredible. What are we looking at here? And it was metal. It was a machine, and it wasn't glowing or anything like that. It didn't have any lights on it that we could see. But it was obviously metal, and it was obviously a machine. And although I can't tell you that there was anyone inside of it, I believe that there was.
Before you leave office, will you let us know if there's aliens? Because this is the only thing I really want to know. I want to know what's going on. Would you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on there?
So many people ask me that question.
I know, it sounds almost ridiculous,
No,
but it's actually the real question I want to know.
It sounds like a cute question, but it's actually, there are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it. I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
So you're saying you may declassify?
Oh.
You'll take it?
Well, I'll have to think about that one, right?